What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode of Weekly Indie Newcomer, the weekend series where you and I take a look at an indie game that's been bouncing around my brain over the course of the last week. And as usual, it is brought to you by Loot Crate's Loot Gaming Crate. If you wanted to check that out and get some cool gaming swag for yourself, check out the link down below and use my code to support the channel. Anyways, if you haven't seen 50 Years, it's an old Congregate game, as I understand. And if you ever played anything, this is a hard game to describe, but it's kind of a lightweight strategy management title, which has a little bit in common with like Landgrisser Hikari and a couple of other old school Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo strategy games. It's not a game that's super in-depth or very, very difficult to figure out, but at the same time, it is a game that is sort of deceiving when it comes to the amount of depth that's in here, because it's a game where you have to take a kingdom and you have to manage it for 50 years and survive. Now, nowadays, a lot of people, I guess, would probably compare this to like I don't know, like an iPhone app or something like that, but back in the day when I was a kid playing games on the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, this would have been a fully fledged strategy game, and that's what I like about it, is it's very much nostalgic for me. So, without further ado, let's check out 50 Years. The point of the game is to survive for 50 years as king of a kingdom. So starting our new game off here, we're going to play it on normal difficulty, and we've got to choose a culture that we want to be a part of. The first thing you're going to notice is, actually, I love the way that watercolors, I don't know if those are watercolors or what those are, I'm not an artist, but either way, I love the way that everything looks. The resolution aside, the game has a weird resolution. It runs in, I think, like 4x3 or something like that. It's like 800 by 600. You can't stretch it to fill the whole screen, but it'll get letterboxed, so be aware about that. And I'm assuming that's the reason why it's not in widescreen, is that all of this artwork was probably done for the 4x3 and they just didn't want to extend it out. But anyways, everything is very, very beautiful in this game. I love the way that all of this is done. You know that I'm a big fan. If you've been around the Nerd Castle for any amount of time, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of pixel art. Well, I'm also a huge fan of anything that looks like it took effort, and frankly, I love the paintings and kind of the way that everything is rendered in this game. We got to choose our nationality, though, and everybody's got their own bonus and their own little way in which they change the way the game functions as things go along. So you've got the Americans. They get an extra 100 gold per turn. You've got the British, and so with Forester's Hut, they get bonus wood and they get bonus faith. With the Greeks, whenever you build a maze, you get a free Minotaur, and if you build a pond, you get a free Hydra. And so mazes and ponds, they also lose their prerequisites so that you can build those whenever you want to build them. So they're going to rely a little bit more heavily on fantasy creatures. The Russians, they sell furs so that they don't have to build lumber mills. And then their Forester's Huts give an extra, they give 100 gold per turn. And so I guess they use furs instead of using wood as a resource. The Japanese get a random unit in their army during battle that get the ability to deal double damage and to block 1 damage. That can be very, very good or very, very bad. It just depends on whether or not you want to be a gambler. We've got the French. Their wounded units retreat, and while that sounds like it might be a little bit insulting, it's actually pretty good with the way the combat works, because in this game, units will engage until they die, and they take up a slot on a grid, and until they die, they can't get out of the way. Now, units are very, very expensive to replace, and so units retreating, actually, discretion is the better part of valor in this game, and so this actually works out pretty well. The units will disengage and run away, and other fully health units will step in to take their place, which could save you a lot of money in the long run, since they won't stand their ground to the death. You got the Celts, which get an additional 30 faith per year. The effect lasts until the deforestation begins. Forces of Nature heals warriors for 15 life during the battle. I have no idea what anything other than the faith does. Faith is a currency in this game that you use to hire any unit that uses any type of holy magic or anything like that. It's also how you level up. When your faith hits a certain threshold, you get new technologies, just like when you play Civilization. At a certain point, you know how you get, what is it? It's not hammers. It's research. You get the little research vials or whatever. They hit a certain level and you get to pick a new tech. Exact same thing in this game. We have the Romans. When you build a barrack, you will be granted a free swordsman. Building a stable will give you a free knight. Swordsmen and knights can be hired for points of faith as well, and so that gives you a little bit more variability when it comes to hiring your armies. And then we've also got ourselves back to the Americans. Now, I personally, and there's no bias involved in this, I find that the Americans are great as an all-around starting unit, or I guess as a starting culture, because that extra 100 gold helps out a lot in the beginning of the game. However, it kind of fades and is not so useful in the late game. Whereas some of the other things, like the Greeks, for example, are pretty good in the late game. The Russians, I've never actually played. The Japanese are kind of a wild card. The French, they're good enough. The Celts, pretty decent. They get an additional 30 faith, which means they level up very fast at the beginning of the game. But once again, that's not a great ability for the late game. I would say let's play the Greeks. I've never played the Greeks before, and so I'd like to check them out and see how this goes. So this is basically where the entire game functions from right here. You start out with gold. We've got 1,000 gold. We start with 1 peasant and no swordsman. We also start with 1 food out of 5 being used up, and so we're producing 5 food right now. Every single unit that you hire, regardless of how high level they are, will take up 1 food, and so you probably want to get on top of that before too long. We can construct buildings from this list right here. All of these buildings do different things. You can do a Hydra's Pond for 9,000 gold or a Minotaur Maze for 2,000 gold. I will probably go after Minotaurs pretty aggressively since that is our special ability. It might allow me to front load a little bit stronger at the beginning of the game. However, for right now, all that we want to do is we want to use our money to hire as many peasants as possible because every single peasant will give us 100 more gold per year by working our fields. We don't need warriors right now. And the basic function of the game is you spend money, your scouting goes across, and so every single turn you'll scout out another little bubble right here. You'll find random dungeons that you can go into to fight with monsters and get bonuses along the way. And then at the end of each year, after you end your turn, you will be attacked or nothing will happen. It's kind of one or the other. You never really know. So let's end the year. We were not attacked this year, so I'm going to take my 500. I'm going to reinvest it into more peasantry, and that's going to get us up to 500. Not pageantry, mind you. We don't have time for that. And here's our first battle. So our list. We can look at the list of enemy attackers. They have 1 militiaman who's attacking us. He's right there. We can call on our militiamen since we have no defenders, and we are going to have to do that. Just bear in mind that any militiaman that you call out is not going to farm gold for the next turn. Militiamen are just peasants that have been conscripted into combat. We click on fight, and then they resolve the battle themselves. And so as you can tell, it kind of reminds me of Warsong. That's the first thing that it reminded me of, is that the battles are fought by the AI itself. You kind of just line up the units, and you hope that you have something balanced before they go in. Now, after winning a battle, you will be given faith points for everything that you kill. That's really, really cool, because faith is up here, and we can use faith for all kinds of fun stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't earn much money that year, simply because we were caught up in battle. It is what it is. Let's give ourselves an early swordsman, though, to help us defend our Commonwealth. We didn't get a battle, so that's a good thing. Unfortunately, our food is maxed out, so we can't really do a whole lot right there, aside from possibly get ourselves a chicken farm, which will increase our threshold for units by 4. We'll end our turn. We've got a swordsman versus a militiaman. Our swordsman is way better, twice the warrior that a militiaman is, so he should be able to knock him out pretty quickly and without many problems. Now, 2 militiamen is where it starts to get a little bit, like 2 militiamen might be able to take a swordsman depending on who strikes first, so you got to watch out for that. However, let's hire another peasant. My initial goal is always to get our cash just flowing. Okay, so we've got 500 gold right now. Let's continue pumping that into peasants. The more money we make, the happier I am. I'm going to call in 2 militiamen for this fight. We'll earn a little bit of money. It won't be much. But I don't want to take any chances with our survivability here. I would rather be over the top with the way that I apply my units. And this is a major part of the strategy of the game. How much of your militia do you deploy to any battle? It's a very, very fine line. If you overcommit, you're not going to have enough money to make it through the mid to end game. But if you undercommit, you might lose the game instantaneously. If you lose this battle right here, that is the end game criteria, and you just flat out lose. This is the primary thing against which you will struggle the entire game. Your scouts have discovered the Chicken Devil's Altar, and so there it is right there. That gives us a little special event that we can do if we really, really want to. The Chicken Devil. So we have a deal, transformation. The Chicken Devil will give you the scroll of transformation, but he will take your soul in exchange. All units in the enemy's army will turn into zombie chickens. The scroll can be used only once. The Chicken Devil will kill a random enemy unit before each battle starts, but the devil will take your soul later. Or we can banish the devil. Or we can just leave that sitting there and not use it for right now. I have not actually seen what happens when the devil comes to take your soul. I assume it's probably not a good thing. Now we're starting to make some decent cash. So with 800 on, I'm going to go ahead and craft myself... Let's build another chicken farm. I think that's going to be our best call for right now. We've got ourselves another fight. I'm going to get 1 militiaman in here just to even out the combat in case their swordsman strikes first. Because if their swordsman strikes first, you can actually lose. So 1 militiaman went in. We made a little bit of money, and then we found a den, the zombie chicken graveyard, which is right here. This is not too difficult of a battle, but I would wait to do it until later. We've got enough cash right now to give ourselves a second swordsman, so that's what I'm going to do. We've got another battle, so I guess it was a good thing that I did that. I guess we'll send in... I probably overcommitted right there. But luckily, we should be able to fight our way through this without too many problems. Yeah, I should have just sent 2 militia. I messed up, and it was a waste of money. There we go. So now we're starting to develop like a real army. I think... Now that we're here, the Minotaur's Mage costs us 2,000. Now, normally what I would do is I would try to get to Knights as quickly as possible. Let's build ourselves a church so that we're developing some faith and we can start getting some special abilities via level up. We've got ourselves another fight with 3 swordsmen over here. Let's add a couple of militiamen to the roster, and hopefully that'll go well for us. We may lose a militiaman on that side, though. Yeah, we did. Oh, we lost a swordsman, too. That was all kinds of a mess. one of the downsides of the AI running things is sometimes they do things in a weird way. Now, we've got 5 trees. I'm sorry, I know how to count. We've got the Pantheon of Fat Chickens. We've got the, well, basically they follow. So there's food, there's productivity, there's supplementary skills that make your forests better. We've got blessings, so this is going to be holy and warrior-related stuff. And then we've also got trade-related things. So the hiring of units decreases by 50 gold. Paladins can heal any unit. That's probably pretty good. 5 peasants can be hired without town halls. That's okay. People preach. I would start out by getting 2 free swordsmen and making our militiamen stronger. That was probably a long term. That's not a good choice. But in the short term, in the interim, it's a pretty decent choice. Now, we're sitting at a reasonable amount of cash right now. What buildings can I get into? A barracks or another chicken farm? Let's go with Forester's Huts, actually. Forester's Huts are kind of a mixed bag because they give you 1 food, but they also give you 50 gold per year. And so as far as production goes, they're decent for getting yourself a little bit of extra cash without having to hire peasants and waste your, I guess, requisition. However, they do cost a reasonable amount of money, and honestly, they may not pay back in the dividends you want in the late game, so don't dedicate to them too much. We can get a stable for 800. We can also get a cow shed, but we need a stable first. I would recommend getting the cow shed early. The cow shed actually increases your requisition by 1 per year. So every time you end a turn, the earlier you get a cow shed up, the better. Let's go ahead and we'll get that. We now have access to knights, but they're kind of expensive. We have a big battle in front of us. We have, what do they have? They have 4 militiamen and 7. Give me a little bit of something extra, and we'll see how this goes. We should be able to whittle through their front lines pretty quickly without many problems. But they are going to hurt us. So we lost 1 militiaman. That's not bad. I can lose a militiaman and not cry myself to sleep at night. Let's maybe hire units for 50 gold less, and that'll get us to paladin heals, which are pretty good. Although I don't know if I should focus on that with this particular army. Give me 2 more peasants to even out our cash flow. Swordsmen are full up. Knights are the next thing we're going to want to grab, and I think they recruit from swordsmen. I think. Yeah, now we've got knights, and knights are like twice the warriors that swordsmen are. So, keep that in mind as you whittle through. They can help you turn a flank pretty quickly and deal a lot of damage to the enemy if you need to. And there it is, flawless victory without any problems. We're sitting at 272 out of 621 with regards to our faith. This is the point at which we want to start being more careful about the way that we do things, though. I'm going to give myself 2 cow sheds. Oh, the second one costs 930. I apologize. I can't take another cow shed right now. And what we can do is we can take another barracks, which I think would be smart. Give us a few more swordsmen, even though they're not that great. And that'll just have to do for right now. Now they've got knights as well. Let's only send in the army, because I think they will be okay. Oh, I think I lost somebody. Actually, I think they double attack. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll double up on your guys, and you can't predict when it's going to happen. So we lost a swordsman right there. Little expensive, but I think we'll live with it. Give me another knight. We'll end the year in at 1,500. We need 2,000 to get to the Minotaur maze, which is what I really, really, really want. And so I'm going to risk it for right now. Got to choose a new belief system. Paladins can heal any units is pretty good. Forester's Huts appear for free, and they each give +1 food. That would be nice. I'm also going to increase the amount of gold that we're going to take. And then what I'll do is we'll get a Minotaur maze. And so we got a free Minotaur with that Minotaur maze. Now, I have no idea how good Minotaurs are. Hopefully they're fantastic. I hope they're really, really badass. But there's no way to tell right now. And then we'll get another knight right there. We're about to find out how badass our Minotaur is. So let's send them in. We'll find out how they do. Minotaur appears to be doing work over here. So happy to see it. We lost 1 swordsman and they lost 8. We have enough faith right now to last for a bit. We made a little bit of cash right there. I'm going to suggest we go with another town hall so that we can have more peasants and we can earn more money. We've got another fight right here, and it's the first one where they've introduced archers who can fire on anybody on the battlefield, but they can't do anything once they're actively in melee, so you kind of want to rush them as fast as possible. These fights, sometimes it'll give you some gimmies, sometimes it'll give you some really, really difficult ones. We're halfway through the game right now, and so our choices are going to become quite a bit more vital from here on in. We don't have a lot of stuff going on right there. Let me get some more peasants to earn some more money. We need it very badly. Oh, we got sorceresses. They really, really hurt. Yeah, sorceresses in this game are super hardcore, and one of them actually glitched and fired in melee right there, which sucks. Luckily, we can hire back what we lost. It's not too big of a deal, but that basically ate up that entire year's productivity, trying to get the units back that we lost. So a little bit behind the curve right now. I don't think this is going to be a winning run. Oh, we lost a swordsman there too. Damn, I can just not get ahead of the curve. Keep giving me swordsmen. We're going to keep... There we go. Shoot at the Minotaur. That's what I need, is the deployment for the Minotaur up front is really, really, really going to help us. Perfect. I wish the Minotaur started in front every single time. On this side, we've got a cost of a swordsman is reduced by 100 gold. That's not bad. Swordsmen and knights always do maximum damage, is always pretty good too. We can also go with the Tavern of Miners, which gives us 10 gold per year per unit, plus 5 gold. Let's go with the swordsman recruitment cost reduction, because we are going to need them to fill out our armies. We need more food for farms. So, for the shooting ground, we need 100 wood. Minotaur Maze we'll be able to afford pretty soon. Monastery we'd be able to afford on the next turn. I'm going to go for 1 chicken farm. And allow me to hire more knights, actually. That would be great. We got a gimme fight right here, and the Minotaur is out front, which I very, very much prefer. Having a Minotaur out front is going to save us a lot of trouble. Perfect. That fight was won. And as you can see, it's a very, very simple little game, but at the same time, it's weirdly addictive. Like, I found myself playing it late into the night last night and the night before, just fiddling around with strategies and playing the different cultures and seeing what happens when you choose different things. Another cowshed would be good, too. What was I saving for, though? A monastery so that I could get healers? Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Got another battle. Alright, well, this one's not that bad. Looks like they're cutting me a break right now. At least for now. Not permanently. I wouldn't get used to it. The game likes to come after you. Once you get to, like, year 35, you're going to start taking huge battles at that point. We're going to get paladins in. We have no paladins right now. They hire with faith, so watch out for that. You are going to be keeping yourself from leveling up as you hire these guys, so be careful. It is very, very easy to overstretch yourself. But the Paladin's function is that he heals people, which is really, really good, especially if you've got the ability that allows your Paladin to heal anybody on the battlefield from any range. That's when it gets really, really useful. Let's hire a second one right there. Oh, yeah, be aware, Knights become Paladins, so you lose Knights as you recruit. I say let's re-bolster our Knights as much as possible. And we've got a little bit of food left. Let's maybe go with the cowshed. Maybe a lumber mill in there. But we are going to produce less cash with the lumber mill, so watch out for that. We got no battle this year, but we're up to 340 wood, which means we'll be able to do a shooting ground, which is great because archers are fantastic. They cost a little bit of wood, though. That's cool, though, because I don't really want to spend cash on a lot of random stuff. I would rather just keep this tight for right now. Like a toiger. Wow. That's a really big battle. The battle lists appear to be random from what I've seen so far. Sometimes you get a really, really big, nasty battle early on, and we're going to have to use militia for this one. There's nothing I can say about that. And as you can see, they are healing in the front right there, which will hopefully help us whittle our way through the enemy, but there's no telling. We may actually lose this one. I wasn't expecting a battle that big this soon. Yeah, we're going to lose it, I think. Yep. Ah, well, that's the way the game goes. Sometimes you just get whomped on and there's no way to tell. And so we held out for 34 years. Let's give it another play. This time around, we'll play as a different army. We'll try... The Greeks were pretty good. I liked that Minotaur bonus, and I think if you could focus mostly on Minotaurs, you'll be good. But if they get dogpiled, you'd still be in trouble. Foresters' huts give you... So they don't have archers, basically. The Russians don't. Let's do the Russians. Let's try the Russians out. I'm going to build a swordsman. No, I'm going to stick with my normal strategy of trying to make as much money as possible as early on. Got our first battle. Let's go ahead and send in 2 of our militiamen here. Yeah, he struck first, so you always want to make sure you send 2 militiamen to fight their one, because you never know who's going to hit first. It's completely random who's going to strike first. We'll give ourselves an early swordsman, which will buy us some time to get some more peasants fleshed out, and that fight should go easy enough. But I really, really like the battles. As they get bigger and bigger and bigger, like that final battle right there, it's a lot of fun fighting those ones. Even though you're just watching what happens, I think that complacency and the inability, not complacency, I guess, but the helplessness of not being able to command anything, while at the same time just hoping like they do what you want them to do, is somewhat compelling. It's somewhat compelling, and I know some people will disagree and they'll hate that, but... So those give us gold now. So that means technically they probably... don't really need peasants quite so much since they can even that out with foresters' huts. Kind of interested to see how that's going to play out. That also gives us food, which is kind of interesting. Hire me another soldier. Just in case, because, yeah, I figure we're going to get attacked pretty frequently. They'll sort that out right there. Done. Taken care of. And then they've got to the zombie chicken graveyard. We'll deal with that in a minute. I'm actually going to take the deal. Oops, I didn't want to do this. That was an accident. Oh, shit. I didn't want to fight this, and it took me automatically in. Alright, just fight the chickens. They should be able to handle it without too many problems. Lost one of our militiamen, which is unfortunate and not something that I wanted to lose, but there we go. We got +2 food permanently. This one right here, I'm going to take the transformation scroll. 2 guys are on militia right now. And that means if I call people out for militia, they still... Not a bad call, actually. I kind of like the way that works. Because that means I can dedicate people to militia as much as I want as well. Let's go ahead and keep the money flowing. Hopefully we don't get attacked too much. 2 swordsmen. Let's go ahead and call on militiamen. Just to help out with that, a couple of them. Not a lot, though. Just, oh, we struck first. I could have just gone with the 2 swordsmen. Oh, well. Better safe than sorry, in my opinion. Better safe than sorry. Let's get the 3 free foresters huts, because in the case of the Russians, that's actually pretty good. That means that we can actually make our net worth a bit higher through very, very little effort of our own. We're actually earning quite a bit of money right now. 1 swordsman versus 3. This should just be a donkey-punching bout of fun for us. So there it is. We win. Constructing buildings-wise, those are starting to get a little expensive. We've got 750 to be allocated. Let's focus on peasants for right now. That's got us sitting at 9 out of 10 peasants right there. We're already earning 1,400 gold early on. Let's go for early knights, I think. Yeah. Early knights sound good. Wow, that's a big battle for this early in the game. Give me a couple of militiamen just to even that roster out, because they do have an archer. We're probably going to lose a swordsman and maybe even a militiaman over here somewhere. Yeah, couldn't really be helped. We lost a swordsman, but luckily we've got the cash to rehire him, so it shouldn't be too bad of an issue. 1,500 gold being earned per turn. I'm going to suggest we continue. Give me a church so that we're actively leveling up on our own without any help. Give me a cowshed this early, too, so that we're starting to stack a little bit of population. We'll fill out our army so that that's done. We found the Beast Den, which is the Lost Mine. So that's 1 unicorn, or 2 minotaurs, 2 swordsmen, and 2 archers. We'll take that one in a little bit once we've got a little bit better of an army and once we've got some healers, because for right now I'm a little bit nervous about that fight. We can do a shooting ground, I guess. So they just don't have archers, like, flat out. So they cannot get wood. Okay. Interesting. So they're cut off from archers entirely. However, that does redivert some gold to go after other things earlier if we wanted to. We'll end the year right there. We've got a decently sized fight in front of us. Give me a couple militiamen just to even that out a tad. Because we're probably going to lose a swordsman just to archers here. Oh, we're going to lose several swordsmen. Archer back there doing work. Okay. Not my favorite. Now we can get 200 wood per year from our lumber mills, so let's do that so that maybe we're producing some kind of lumber. Unless they just flat out can't get wood. But that seems like a workaround maybe that might land us a little bit of extra wood. We lost some swordsmen, so we'll rehire them. It is, actually, so we cannot get wood as this faction. Like, flat out, just cannot have it. Okay. Alright. Go ahead and hire there. And while we wait, we've got enough right there to do that and get paladins. Which I would strongly suggest. With the 2,200 that we have, I'm going to do a barracks and another barracks, and we're going to start working on more swordsmen. This is a big fight. I am going to transform them. Probably should have saved that for a bigger battle. But for right now, I need to be ahead of the curve. Like, I can't afford to lose units right now. I need to be on top of things. I need 550 to get another paladin. We're sitting at 1600 right now. Ooh, 2 minotaurs. That's going to be a tough one, especially since my knight's deployed weirdly. Okay. Well, that caused us to level up. The forest healed injured units. Up to 30 life can be healed. Let's go ahead and I'm going to lower the cost of hiring units for right now. And I need to get our swordsman refleshed back out. We've been taking a lot of big battles, but the nice thing is it seems to use a point system of some kind. So when you get a couple of bad battles in a row, sometimes it'll give you freebies like that one right there, right after the fact. So it can be hard to tell. I will probably... How much are our foresters' huts costing us right now? Okay. For a cathedral, we can get exorcists. We do need a ranged unit, so I might make a push for that. Shooting ground is required. Druid's Oak is required. So actually, they can't use that entire bottom row. That kind of forces them down the path of going after this stuff over here. Okay. Let me have... I need anything that produces cash, though. I guess give me another town hall and we'll start hiring more peasants. Got another little fight right here that we should be able to waltz our way through. Please don't lose that swordsman. I was going to say, I can't afford to lose that swordsman right now. If you lose that swordsman, I'm going to be very, very upset. We'll hire another paladin, hire another knight, spend the rest of our money on more peasants. Another battle, but it's an easy gimme. As you can tell, it's already been 30 minutes. It has already been 30 minutes. This game, just like time disappears when I play this game because it really does take me back to my Sega Genesis days playing things like Warsong, and there's a couple other games that were kind of similar to this as well, although I'm having trouble recalling the names. Let me make more money. I gotta get some cash. I gotta make some money like right now, and if we don't start stacking it up by the end of this, we're gonna have major, major issues on our hands. Got 2 paladins healing it up right now, and as you can tell, that will save you units in the long run. Give me, I don't know if I want a 3rd paladin or if I want to let them level up. I think letting them level up is probably smarter. Let's get some more swordsmen. And we've got a big battle right here. We will lose somebody on this battle. I can say there's almost no way we're not going to lose somebody here. Oh, really? Did we make it through with no losses? We had no losses on that one. I want to get to paladins healing any units, and we get bonus faith every single year, which will be really, really nice to have. Meanwhile, finish off our peasant stock. And as far as constructing buildings goes, we'll go for a Minotaur maze next, because I think we're going to need it. This fight looks a lot worse than it actively is, and now that my paladins can heal anywhere on the field, I think it'll be a lot easier for us to... Did they kill somebody over there? They did. We lost a swordsman. Damn it, the man of the sword. Give us the Minotaur. Add him to our army, because obviously he's a boss baller and not to be messed with. Give me another paladin and flesh out my swordsman ranks. And this, oh my god, yeah, this is the one I should have saved the transformation scroll for. I messed up. It's going to be very, very difficult to sustain this one without losses. Yeah, we lost most of our mainline units right there. There's just so many archers. Archers give you a very, very real advantage sometimes. So we need knights. Let's go ahead and hire them. Because we had so many peasants not doing anything that year, we didn't earn much money, which is a downside. We lost a lot of swordsmen too. Got ourselves another big battle here. Shit. There's nobody else to join the battle, so that might be it for us. If you wanted to check this game out, this series is called Weekly Indie Newcomer. Every single week I take a look at an indie game that's been bouncing around my brain over the course of the last week that I put a little bit of playtime into. This one is called 50 Years, and I'm sure there are guys out there that are better planning than I am. I will see you all in the next episode of Weekly Indie Newcomer. This one was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the Russians have fallen. The Russians have fallen due to my poor tutelage and my poor leadership abilities. Unless that one Minotaur is the only thing to survive. Either way, I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for stopping on in, everybody. Bye-bye.